Hiya, and welcome back to Password. The game that teaches us that of all the characters, they all fit a very specific description that makes up the perfect friend group. Anyways, let's just hop right in. Oh god, this scene. This scene. I forgot about this. Are we gonna hold his hand or are we gonna kiss him? Hang on. No mas depression. Is that no more depression? Yeah, hiya. Alright, let's kiss the homie. Rolling onto my side, yeah. Alright. I understand very little Spanish. Very little. Like, a minuscule amount. While I slept, I wasn't resting. Every day seemed to have more questions rather than answers, and those questions worried me to my core as to why they had even come up. The syringe, the vial, the rabbit, even Oswin's rat had me swimming in both worry and confusion. What did it all mean? How did it all connect? Why did I feel like I was the center of it all? Then there was the vault. What was so important to have stored on the other side? What exactly was the thing that made me see the things I did, if not that room itself? But most importantly, who was marked for death? Why? Benson scratched his mustache, sighing out. Although with how much of a shut-in Oswin is, it's a wonder he notices anything these days. Is that why the security system is there, so he can keep tabs while he's safely in his lab? That's what he'd claim, although to be fair, I was the one that did most of the installing. Can't be too careful when what visitors you do have are those with a lot of money and power, with rarely the wisdom to know how to use it either. You're talking about Orlando's dad again? Among other things, it's no different when their parents were around, given the company was much the same. Consider it part of the package deal. Being wealthy grants you, my boy. I'm kind of thankful that I guess my family wasn't well off. I wouldn't say that. From what I understand, your mother had quite the salary, and your father had a well-paying job as well. I guess that's true. I never really saw it that way. Rarely do those with money understand just how fortunate they are over those that do not have it. Much in the same way, those that do not have money have no grasp of what it's like to have it. As they say, ignorance is bliss. But I don't think that's right at all. No. Well, Tyson was dirt poor, and I shared what I had with him because it felt fairer that way. And Orlando, he always had neat toys, but he'd share them with me, new games and stuff. Then I'm glad that the newer generation is at least somewhat more aware of those around them. Or perhaps it's just your natural magnetism at work, Dave. It could be, but I don't think I'll ever know. From what I've seen, you've done well in rallying your friends together. After all, they were willing to search the house for you in hopes of finding a gun they did not even know existed. Where did that gun ever end up? Just with Oswin, right? Let's see. I believe the night you were looking for the gun, I had it in my possession. I handed it off to Oswin the day after. Granted, it wasn't the only gun I had with me, as I was cleaning both his and mine that day. Proper gun maintenance is a good habit to practice. I almost jumped when I heard the door behind me shift, stepping away from it as someone stepped out to join us in the morning air. What's this? Having a conversation at this hour? I believe Dave was just having some trouble sleeping and wanted someone to talk to. Hardly surprising. Ah, shit. A fucking laptop. Decided to disconnect audio. There we go. Hardly surprising. How much danger do you think we're in? Like, surely you've been in dangerous situations before, right? That's an interesting question. Wait, did I read the right thing? Yeah. I do believe that most of the situations Oswin has found himself in exclude all the bad ones I've circumvented without him noticing. I'm not a child, Benson. I'll have you know that I know full well when you've been up to something for my own good. Then I shall keep this in mind the next time Roswell makes a pass at your cereal, and I'll let you step in personally. Oswin huffed, shaking his head. That boy will learn one day when the line is drawn. But is today that day, sir? I'd hardly think you'd be so magnanimous to drop all of your strong opinions after that show at breakfast. I understand some words. Let me let me translate it. Of course, I'll be taking it with a grain of salt. Oh, it's not Spanish? What language is it? It's not Arabic. I don't think it's Arabic. Oh, okay. Thank you. Still curious about that one previous English because I understood some of it, I think. Okay. I don't know. I'm trying to. Honestly. Okay. But is today that day, sir? I'd hardly think you'd be so. After that show at breakfast. It may just be. It's something that all things considered, I'd like to square away with him just in case the worst happens. Not that I don't like the idea of you two playing nice, but why are you awake? Much like you, I had too much on my mind to sleep. And true to any other day, you put on your lab coat rather than walk around in your pajamas. I'll have you know that when I wear this lab coat, I intend to work. The day I take this off for good is the day I finally stop actively working on things. You understand, right, Dave? You wear that orange hooded sweater a fair bit, and I doubt you have more than one. I guess that's kind of the same, but it's mostly just comfortable. It's not even really mine, although I guess I've had it long enough that it may as well be. Pardon? Oh, the orange hoodie is Tyson's, or was. Just some old thing that he'd stretched out from wearing it too long. I sort of got given it one day and found it comfy enough he let me keep it. Ah, so like a hand-me-down. Can't say I've ever had that experience. No, that's because your upbringing told you that there was no sense in not buying everything new. Maybe I'd understand it better if I had siblings growing up, but my parents bought all my things new as well. Well, as someone that grew up with siblings, handing down old clothes and the like was hardly a foreign concept. When times were tough, you made do. Like now? How do you mean? Although I suppose in a broad sense times are tough, but not for financial reasons. Oswin looked to Benson, giving him a quick study before nodding his head. I'm up now. Get some sleep, Benson. Chances are we're going to have quite a day ahead of us. While I don't think I'll be getting much sleep, I will, however, take you up on your offer. Good night, gentlemen. Benson gave a short bow before wandering back inside, leaving me alone with Oswin outside again. He gestured towards the edge of the deck where we'd stood before and looked out over the backyard. It was a solid couple of minutes before he said anything, quietly as if he was trying to keep me calm. You left an impression on me last we spoke. Like, a few hours ago? That's right. I went into the lab and asked Thanatos what his take on this was. I stayed quiet, expecting him to elaborate on his own. As I thought, he wasn't exactly helpful insofar as knowing anything new. Or at least that's what he says. Great. I guess. Oh, cheer up, boy, it's not all bad. We have a few tricks up our sleeve yet. Tricks? You're starting to sound like Roswell. I chuckled weakly, shaking my head. Or maybe it's a bore thing. Is this the part where I jokingly call you a racist? Yeah, I guess you would. Would it help you if I told you a secret? Perhaps what's behind the vault door? Probably not. Knowing what's behind it isn't going to stop Jack and Orlando's dad from coming to take it away, right? Perhaps, but you might then understand why I'm very much interested in keeping it out of his hands. How bad can it be that you're putting us at risk by not just handing it over? I don't think Memphis really cares much about what I've hidden behind that door. If you were to find out, then, well, we'd have a lot more death on our hands. I grumbled for it before sighing out, shooting him a sideward glance. Okay, fine. What's behind the door? Behind the door is my greatest work. And my greatest failure. A single dose vial of something that I never should have created. A poison? A cure. I frowned, trying to think about how that could be a bad thing, but he continued before I could raise the question. Or at least it should be, when in reality, it isn't. So it is a poison. Not in the conventional sense, but let me explain it a different way. What do you imagine would happen if a type of medicine existed that cured everything and anything? Well, that'd be great, right? No one would need to be sick. You could save countless lives. You'd think so, but alas, that's not the case. But it literally cures everything, doesn't it? The actual medicine would, yes. Think about how pharmaceutical companies make their money. They make their money off the sick, off those that can afford to buy medicine that may not work. Dave, sick people get desperate to do anything they can to survive. For every one of those people, another is in a position to take advantage. Take advantage how? Fakes. Cheaper alternatives that people would only turn to only to be given a saline solution for their efforts when they can't afford the real thing. But whoever made it could just make it cheap, right? Not if it was expensive to make. But even then, this is assuming that it passes the medical board for medication, and there are a lot of interested parties in ensuring that the sick stay sick. So the money keeps coming in. But that's awful. It is, but that's how the world works. It's more problematic than that, too. Imagining all of the people that would no longer have jobs because of this one medicine making everything they've worked on redundant. Overnight, you'd collapse a whole industry. Well, good thing that the thing behind the vault door isn't that medicine then, right? Instead we have, what? It's technically that very medicine, Dave, but tailored to one specific individual were they still able to take it. But alas, that time is long gone now. It may as well just be poison. Why aren't they able to take it? What would happen if I took it instead? Put simply, the person who it was made for can no longer take it. You cannot cure what they have, like with any other person who is dead. But if you took it, you'd assuredly die. Oh. It's alright, Dave. It serves as something for me to remember them by. That's all. When my time comes, I'm sure someone will take care of what's behind that door for me. And if I need to die to protect it, then so be it. But for now, we'll need to ensure everyone's ready for the days ahead. That entire time with Oswin, that, brought me, an odd sense of comfort. Did anyone else just get, like, an odd sense of comfort with that entire monologue that Oswin did? Because it was oddly comforting. Like, I got that feeling. Oswin backed away from the railing and scratched his chin. Speaking of, you'd best get some sleep if you can. What about you? I'll be fine. I've had some coffee, and trust that if you hear some gunshots, I'll notice our unwelcome guests on the property, and I've given them a proper greeting. Isn't there anything else, anything at all I can do instead to prepare? Not really. Not until everyone's awake. Although, he studied me over, deciding to not add anything more until I gestured for him to continue. The scavenger hunt. How's that faring? The question blindsided me, and I did a double take, wondering if I'd heard him correctly. I think we'd mostly forgotten about it with everything kind of happening. A shame. If you find any more of them, I would very much like you to continue searching. Really? With everything going on, you still want us to keep searching for those medals? I do. After all, they're very important. If anything, it'll give you something to focus on that isn't impending doom, should it make any difference. I gave him a funny look but found myself yawning. Tiredness was creeping in and became more of a pressing need than arguing the point with him at this time of morning. I don't want to set the world on fire. Sweet dreams, Dave. I shall see you in a few hours. Making my way back upstairs, I wandered to the bed I spent the night in. Everything was as if I had never left, and I tried to make myself comfortable with everything still running through my head. I wondered just how dangerous this thing was behind the vault door, or if it was just a tall tale to keep me distracted from the knife-toting rabbit somewhere in the woods. Sure enough, though, my eyelids were growing heavy and cuddling down in the warm covers I drifted off. Although it was not long after that I found myself waking up with the day properly starting. This fucking game. I can answer that. Our eyes all went to the door, seeing Oswin standing there with his arms folded. He stepped closer to the table, adjusted his glasses, and continued. The landline idea failed because there isn't one. How do you not have a landline? Who am I going to want to contact? I have a cell phone, as does Benson. I can assure you that there are very few people I contact with it, and I'd much rather do my correspondence in person anyway.
Speaking of, how is he? Having been up all night, I imagine he's resting, right?
Yeah, they tagged out however long it was ago. That's right. Although in the time I've been keeping watch, I've not had to worry about firing off my gun. Nothing has appeared as far as I could tell.
And we're sure you just didn't miss anything.
Oswin grunted, shooting Roswell a dirty look. Yes, I'm positive. So for the time being, we should be alright. They're not going to make a move now that we're all awake, are they? It's hard to say. Truth be told, it would make sense for any movement to be made during daylight for general navigation. Even a rabbit would know better than to make a move in the dark. Why? I thought they could see in the dark. They can. But us on high alert would no doubt make for a poor move. Whoever is out there is outnumbered. Thor, but now that it's day? We're all awake. If we stay in groups, picking us off to get what they're after will be that much harder. So, stick together while we do what exactly? Thirst for a way to safety? Off this mountain, I mean.
That restricts our search to just around the house if we're staying as far away from the danger as possible, right? That doesn't give us many options for finding things to get away from the house.
Well, as it turns out, there is something else you could be searching for. What is it? The medals. There was a confused silence shared among those at the table after he spoke. Looks were exchanged as Oswin's smile faded. You may believe this to just be a game Roswell and Benson devised. Yeah, we're still on the chubby dragon boy. Yep. We're still on chubby dragon boy. Next route I think is going to be either Dean or Roswell. Yeah. Yeah. But I assure you that along with coming out of this month alive, fulfilling the scavenger hunt to the best of your ability is equally important. How the fuck is that more important than getting out of here alive? I thought that it was only meant to be a game. Is it something to keep us distracted from thinking about being in danger constantly? Fucking webtoons. Partially, although it did say it was equally important and not more so. I think he's been busy. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's been busy. Indulge me or not, it's ultimately your call. Much like you, I have no idea where they are. Well, we found some at least. Show me. Well, it's not like they're here with us now. Why would we be carrying them with us? Fine, then you can describe them then. If you give us a couple of minutes, we can go retrieve them. Shouldn't be too hard. Come on, Tyson. Give me a hand, please. Fine. Most of them are just in your room, right, Dave? I think so. I've just kind of left them laying around so you'd see them pretty easily. With that, the pair left in a hurry, but importantly, together. Seemed the idea of sticking in numbers was already unquestionably a good idea. Now then, while we wait for them to get back, I've been meaning to ask if no one is hungry. I would have expected coffee on the table by now. I guess we've all just not really been in the mood to do anything about it. Hardly surprising. Although you can't just not eat. Should all have seen how well that fared for Dave in his throes of sadness. I'm right here. I'm very well aware. All the more reason you should all at least eat something lest you go the day with an empty stomach. I remember what it's like to go days without food, and it's not pleasant. Well, I can make scrambled eggs, toast. Everyone fine with that? I'll come help, I guess. Someone better make the coffee while you're sorting that out anyway. Dean and Orlando wandered towards the kitchen while Oswin made himself comfortable at the table. The silence wasn't comfortable, mostly because we all weren't sure what was going to happen next. Tyson and Sal returned after a little bit, dumping what medals they'd found on the table and sitting down. It wasn't long before Dean and Orlando emerged again, having hurried the preparation of breakfast just so they could rejoin the group. So, these are the medals. This many? I didn't expect you to have been so diligent. I looked at the medals on the table with a frown. There weren't that many, and even what we did have we'd found by sheer luck outside the one we directly got a hint for.
We're quite resourceful, I have you know.
Roswell, I'll put this down to sheer dumb luck more than anything you consciously did. In any case, what have we got of the set? First one is Aquarius, found in the hedge maze by Orlando. Sal blurted out a quick apology for going into his room to get the medal, to which Orlando just waved it off. Okay. Aquarius, right. What's next? Pointed out the medal that I found in the greenhouse quickly, speaking up. I found this one underneath the giant pumpkin in the greenhouse. The pumpkin? That's a bizarre place to have found it, but no doubt there are other, or more obscure places that these things could be found. I almost tripped over it, so yeah. Given that pumpkin has been growing there for quite a while, it's a wonder anyone found it. But this one is Taurus. Hold on, can we just back up and find out why you know which is which? Why wouldn't I? The medals belong to my family. So, what now? Oh, okay. Did we do good? Well, it's hardly a complete set, but you're making progress. Plenty more to go, however. Should pose enough of a thing to focus on to distract you from what dangers are lurking in the woods. If not that, I have something else to offer. Such as what? $1 million each. What? What did you say? Too low? Make it $2 million then. I honestly don't care either way. Oswin! That's a lot of money!
You're really reckless with your money, you know that?
Am I? Dude, you can't just casually drop numbers like that. 7 million without batting an eye. Normal people can't do that. I don't understand the issue. None of you are normal, so me offering just a paltry sum of money as incentive should be. I wasn't paying attention to anyone other than Oswin, and that's why the spoon that flew across the table and smacked him across the face made me do a double take. Hang on. I'll be right back. And I'm back. I think that was either Benson or Tyson that smacked him across the face. Roswell! Oh shit, it was Roswell.
$2 million is not a paltry sum of money, and we don't need to be bribed to go along with stuff just because.
Does that warrant a spoon flung across the table, boy? Have you no table manners?
If we're talking propriety, I don't think you have any right to judge me, Mr. I'm throwing money at problems.
How dare you, boy? God, stop. You're acting like children.
Well, I might be young enough, but it's his excuse.
You did this with Tyson, and now you're doing this with Oswin, Roswell? Not cool. We have other things to be stressing us out without you adding to the mix.
But that's a lot of money.
Money that I'm free to do with as I choose. It's going to do a lot more good as an incentive to slave off more than sitting around in my bank account. If you're offering the money, then fine, we'll take it. He clearly doesn't want it, and if we get out of this alive, the money would be nice to cover whatever therapy we might need to put this behind us. Is it really okay?
Of course it's not.
The offer has been made. Should you wish to take the money after all is said and done, or refuse, we can deal with it then. Is this fine, Roswell? Roswell seemed to be grumbling to himself, but said nothing to refute him. I noticed Sal carefully sliding the cutlery away from him lest any more went airborne. Threw me a quick nod when he seemed satisfied nothing was in reach. I'll take that as a yes. And on that note, I shall leave you to it. I take it you already have your assigned buddies from your game. That shall do for now. For what? Buddy system for staying safe, remember? Guess if we're looking for medals again, it makes sense how we may as well do it in the teams we started with. Ah, indeed. My eyes went to Tyson, wondering where he'd go. Although I didn't have to worry long, with Haas already moving towards him upon seeing him looking to Dean. Huh, well, I guess even Tyson has a group. That works. The entire situation is adorable. Hey, yo. Ah, fuck. Do we agree or disagree? Do we agree or disagree with Orlando that he's an idiot? Wait, is this the path where everyone dies? Path A? Don't get too close. Nobody knows me. Don't get too close. Don't even know me. But are we agreeing or disagreeing with him? Because I can't fucking remember. I thought that was path A, but okay. Alrighty, do that if you want to. I'm not... Don't say that! And why not? Come for the chaos. Ah! If I'm not allowed to be an idiot, neither are you. He grumbled, shooting me a look. But I am! We could go and ask Roswell who scored better on the last couple of exams. I'm sure you did better than I did. That's different. You know a bunch of stuff in the kitchen too, and games. All the times you've puzzled out how they work or how to beat a boss or just... You seem to figure it out. I don't think an idiot could do that. Okay, fine. So all this stuff we have going on, all the troubles and whatever, we can figure that out too. We have to. You're right. Question is, where to start? I chuckled nervous, scratching the back of my head. The only lead we have is what you saw in the vault, you know? At some point, Oswin and Benson had swapped out from keeping watch, and given the lack of gunshots, it seemed we were still without any extra guests. It brought me some relief, but still had me anxious. Almost like the prospect of someone threatening to pop a balloon inches from your face, but without telling you when or why. But still, it seemed that Oswin and Benson were discussing who should keep watch next. And with how Benson was fussing over Oswin, it reminded me of Dad. Granted, Benson was shorter than Oswin by a fair bit, but he seemed to comply, if begrudgingly, to whatever it was that Benson had decided for the two of them. No one else seemed to have turned up anything as far as medals went either, but progress was progress, even if it was just getting us back into the motions of looking for them. We ate dinner and everything was surprisingly normal. But as I ate, something started to eat at me again. Something about this morning that made me just wonder what I should do next. Thankfully, I knew exactly who to ask. Oswin, can we talk? The two of them turned to me as I lingered halfway through the open door to the backyard. We can. Did you require privacy? If you need it, I can step inside should you wish. No, it's fine. Stepping out so I was in the night air, I breathed in deep and looked around. So far so good, even with the familiar feeling of that night chill nipping at my fur. Is everything alright? Did you find a medal by any chance? No, not that. Then what is it? I was just thinking about everything that had happened up until this point, wondering about, like, what our next move should be. After all, we can't just continually be on the lookout, right? You have a point, my boy. Have you thought of any ideas on what we should do? Not really, but I did have a question. He's starting to remind me of Roswell. In what way? He's been quizzing me a lot lately about what we should do as well. What the next move should be and such. After all, his idea of a vacation has been tainted by this unfortunate arrival. Question after question. That young boar takes after his mother for sure. Dave didn't come out here to hear you reflect on Roswell when he's clearly got something on his mind. Right, well, it's the thing behind the vault door. What about it? You said this morning that, like, we can't let that get into the hands of someone bad because of what they could do with it. But if we destroyed it, then what's the risk? Oswin huffed, standing stiff. Alas, I don't know the code to the door, so that plan is a failure from the get-go. Well, you don't, but Benson does, right? The two of them looked to one another quickly before turning back to me. That's a tad more complicated than I've let on, Dave. But how? Said if we could find all the medals, we could have what was on the other side, but that's just because you're gatekeeping for the sake of the game, right? Yes. And no, regrettably. I don't like the sound of this. I know the password to the thing inside the vault. There's a containment vessel holding what we spoke about. But that's not tied to the vault mechanism. Unless I told you, you'd struggle to get past the security on that thing. Beyond that, however, I'm sorry to have to inform you that while I can assure that you're allowed whatever's beyond that door should you find the medals, as of right now, the password eludes me as well. Wait, so that door can't be opened at all? I don't understand. What's the risk of just handing it over and then we can just hike back home? Do you know how to remove a basement room from a mountaintop building, Dave? We cannot simply just hand over the room to him. But it's not the room at all, is it? It's something else, and unless he's like, I don't know, a genius like you are, I don't think it's that dangerous. I'd refrain from stroking his ego if I were you. Still, perhaps there is something we can do to stave off some danger. Perhaps meeting with this rabbit could warrant some thought. I'm not meeting with that rabbit again. Once was bad enough. Wait, you'd met him before. I'd hardly call it a meeting, but he was present the last time Memphis Noble came toting up in his limousine. Why is this only coming up now? You got a good look at him, right? Unlike Oswin, who is prone to jump the gun when it comes to our lagomorphic visitors, I prefer to be more certain before taking action. If it is indeed the same Jack, and I'm almost positive it is, he's more useful to us alive. He tried to kill me. All the more reason we should do away with him if we get the chance. He's trespassing. He wants the vault and wants to know if Benson's still alive, which I guess he should know about now, right? So long as I'm around, I think we should be alright. After all, what's the worst he alone can do? He literally was going to stab me. Fair point. Regardless, we have no bargaining chip we can hand over to make him leave us alone either. My head started to hurt, and without realizing it, I'd closed my eyes and clutched my temple. Interesting. What is? Just you. I worry that come the month's end, your head is going to be hurting a lot more if you keep using the vault. I could just be dehydrated, maybe. If you wish for an injection, I can oblige. But in lieu of Benson's disapproval, let me say that I imagine the vault is doing a number on your psyche. Remembering events from past iterations of the timeline, who knows what change that could have on you, or how lasting it may be. That's enough, Oswin. He's not one of your lab rats. Thanatos has a brother I haven't met? No, it's just him. Just as well. I have no fondness for that thing. It's a rat, Benson. If you say so. Now, was there anything else? I guess not, but there's ever a plan of what to do next. Can I be told first, or if not first, just one of the first? I shall endeavor to ensure that for your peace of mind, Dave. Okay, cool. Thanks. Was there anything else? Just one more question, but for Benson. Oh? What is it, my boy? If we got you all the medals, what do you plan to do with them? Do they make a key? Do they have some special thing that lets you open the door? Or... Benson looked at Oswin, who quirked a brow curiously at him in kind. That's a complicated question. Probably one best answered once all the medals are found. Try me. If I leave now, I'll probably end up thinking about it. Probably be up thinking about it. He's got you there. Very well. I have my orders, and that should all the medals be found, I'm to prove it, and in turn, I'll get the password for the vault door for, essentially granting to whomever I so choose. I never gave you such orders. Indeed. This one was a directive issued by your sister. She's here? Oh, I highly doubt that, sir. This request from her came long before Dave and his friends arrived. Truth be told, I was a bit confused as to why I'd be given one. But such is serving the Hammond family, after all. But with the phone's not working, guess calling her or snapping a picture is going to be impossible. Quite. However, I'm sure I'll figure something out. I am a man of my word, after all. I could almost hear Oswin grumbling. I could almost hear Oswin grinding his teeth in frustration from where I stood, but he stayed quiet. Okay, well, I guess I'll head on off to bed then, and, thanks. You're very welcome, Dave. Good night. Throwing on some clothes and taking comfort in the warmth my hoodie gave me, I wandered downstairs. As I reached the bottom of the stairs, I expected to run into Oswin heading to bed again, but nothing but silence greeted me in the foyer. His warning came to mind as my eyes wandered over to the path towards the basement. That was the direction I was being pulled, and what harm was there in punching in a few words? Oh, fuck. A few words, eh? You ain't having a laugh and gonna end up throwing the book at it, are you? What book? You know, the dictionary. Fucking Thanatos. What's stopping me from going to ask Oswin about it? He'd be able to check, right? Do that and I'll turn on the cables to take it offline. But why would you even do that? My way or no way. I might not get out much, but boy, do I get a kick watching you do what you do. I growled, balling up my fists before realizing that I didn't have much in the way of options. Even if he was bluffing, I didn't feel comfortable taking that risk. We didn't. Me? Nah, just don't have a big fuss about your friends asking about why you're talking to a rat. Or running into Oswin. Or Benson. Don't think they know I'm even out yet just yet. So, yeah. Not yet. Yeah, there's a lot. Nodding slowly to myself, taking my eyes off Thanatos to look out the window, I had an idea. Oswin! I can just ask Oswin later, right? If he's willing to talk to you, sure. I think there are bigger things to worry about now, though. Right, the vault. Fucking vault.
I'll pass. I think I might go see if I can bug Oswin some more. After all, someone's got to keep him on his toes.
You really shouldn't mess with him like you do.
Why not? It's all in good fun. It's not like I'm doing anything untoward to him. Not yet, anyway.
Not yet? What are you planning?
Many things, but I don't know. There's something about him that makes me think he's lonely. Or maybe he just wants to be left alone. But I'll find out eventually.
Fucking... Alright, who are we talking to first? I feel like we might be able to... Yeah, Orlando or Tyson? Are you talking about Chris? Are you talking about Chris Griffin? Yeah. Wait, Amethyst, are you talking about Chris Griffin? You know, the son? You didn't help by passing out. Benson and Oswin might have noticed I'm missing by now. Did you end up finding Oswin? Scientist who lives alone with his butler in a bunker in her mansion on a mountain in the forest. Yeah, maybe. Did you end up finding Oswin?
Yep, that's where I've been pretty much all day.
The one guy that is naturally gay. Which naturally gay guy? Hang on.
Yep, that's where I've been pretty much all day.
Are you talking about Bruce? Or are you talking about Bruce? And that went well?
We played some chess, discussed science, nothing all that interesting to anyone other than myself, really.
Did you do any magic?
Tried. He didn't seem all that interested, although put up with it.
Bruce is a character from the earlier seasons. I don't know if he's still around, though.
He didn't seem all that interested, although put up with it. Only just left his company, really. Said he needed a break.
Oh, so what are your plans now?
Don't know. Maybe I'll find Orlando and see if he needs help with making dinner tonight. Maybe I'll go find Benson and see what he's doing. A lot of where I find myself now is just waiting, you know?
But waiting for what?
It sounds bad, but I guess the next bad thing to happen? I want to be ready, and I think I am as best as I can be, shy of having a weapon.
Do you think it'd come to that? We have Benson to help us.
Exactly, but that's why I'm considering going to find him. Maybe he can lend me, like, a baton or something just in case I need it.
Not a gun or something.
Oh, no thanks. I don't think I'd be able to handle the recoil on most things. What about you, though? What are you up to by yourself?
Password. I think Orlando said it. And I feel like this is where paths split off for Path A. So, which one? Do we want to do the werewolf one or the not werewolf one? Which one are we doing first? I thought it was, because this is where it split off with Path B. Okay, hang on, let me put a save here. And right here, I'll put in werewolf. Yep. My mind raced, momentarily forgetting the vault vision in favor of thinking about what that conversation could have been. And with Oswin having talked to both my mom and dad, I had a lot of questions for him. Well, that's... Wait. I frowned looking to Thanatos. It could have still opened, maybe. Brian's gay brother, Jasper? Start talking. Oswin was explaining it a couple days ago. Oswin and Roswell, I guess. But he said that it can't show you your own death. What if it's the same for you? Thanatos went to say something before stopping short, seeming to think about it deeply. You've got me there, but as far as I know, I haven't died, so my god status ain't budging. Right, well, I'm going to go talk to Oswin. He has answers he needs to give me. You think he's going to have an antidote to that werewolf thing? He might. What I really want to know is why he spoke to Mom and Dad. I want to know what he hasn't been telling me. You know the way to the lab? Yeah, I can manage. What are you planning on doing now? What do vaults even do in their spare time? Path B already in the bad part for this, so really just get the password when the option pops up. Okay. What do vaults even do in their spare time? Probably return to my cage to recharge the battery. If you're headed to the lab, then why don't we go together? I'd rather take the back way. Not that you can follow me, but we don't need to be talking anymore. Plenty of talking you've got to do as it is. Right, well, I guess I'll see you later. Yeah, but it also splits again, I thought. Yeah, it also splits again because, like, we did Path D first, and Path D is its own thing. Then we did Path B, and Path G is sort of an offshoot of Path B. Okay. Without another word, he scurried off out of the room and into the dark of the basement beyond. As for me, I took one last look at my dad's license before shoving it in my pocket and following Thanatos into the basement. I approached the wall where I knew there was a passage, feeling around for anything like a button or a latch. In a small divot, something I barely noticed was a concealed button. No sooner had I pressed it, the wall opened up, revealing the passage beyond. It was no different traveling through this passage than the last time. It was dark, and I was regretting taking this trek without my flashlight. For a while I had my hand on the wall to guide me forward, but after finding it dusty and gross, I relied instead on having my hands stuck out in front of me. In the dark, I heard a sound come from behind me for a brief second before I was grabbed by the arm and thrown into the room backwards. Falling onto my rear, I grunted at the shock before stumbling back up. To what do I owe the pleasure, Dave? Yeah, one of the paths we did, Memphis, I think he exploded. He died. Or were you just making use of the passages for fun? No, I was trying to find you, actually. You didn't need to be so rough in handling me. Need I remind you that we have a homicidal rabbit wandering around? Hearing someone creep around outside my lab is not something I was expecting tonight. Right. Sorry. To make matters worse, Thanatos has been walkabout all day, it seems. Heaven knows where he's escaped to. He's not back already? He was with you? He said he was coming back to the lab. I assumed he'd be here by now. Well, I'm glad that he's accounted for at least. What were you two up to? He ran into me at the vault this morning and we sort of just, I don't know, tried to figure things out. And I just realized that I fucked up. I fucked up. I fucked up. Because that should not be day 17 path A. That should not be day 17 path A. Fuck. I'm gonna have to redo my saves. Ran into me at the vault this morning and we sort of just, I don't know, try to figure things out. Oswin grunted, dropping into a chair at his desk and clicking away at his computer for a while. What are you doing? Running diagnostics on the vault. Because, just in case he's done anything to it. To himself, you mean? No, I did that. He froze, turning slowly to me. Pardon? Thanatos said he was the vault, so what would he want to do with himself? Do to himself? Bah, I wouldn't believe a word out of the rat's mouth, Dave. Just an experiment gone awry is all. Oh, okay. I wandered closer as Oswin turned back to the computer, almost dismissing me. Tell me something, though. Why are you hiding stuff from us? To punctuate my point, I put my dad's license on the desk and I slid it closer, once more causing him to freeze. Thanatos gave me this just before I came to find you. Why was my dad here? How do you know he didn't lift it from your own bags? Because right now, I have no reason to doubt anything Thanatos has told me, and compared to him, you're meant to be the one we're relying on to survive. What's it mean if you can't be honest with us? So you're calling me a liar? Depends, but you sure as anything haven't been entirely honest. So what parts of what I told you do you doubt now? That you're in danger? About how the vault works? No, it's more, I don't know what your stake in this is. Obviously, yeah, we all want to survive, but where do you fit into this picture? So you're pretending to be your father now, shaking me down for information? What do you mean by that? Dave, sit down. If you want to know why your dad was here, I'll tell you. Not just dad, but mom too. Remind me to strangle that rat. Good luck with that, but apparently dad was here. I guess about a year ago? Why did he come here? I should start by saying it wasn't the first time he was here. When was the first time before that? A couple of months, I'd say. It happened only a handful of times that he was looking into the Noble family as part of an ongoing investigation. And why question you instead of approaching them directly? Well, it's no secret that Memphis was here trying to buy the vault. So questioning someone who had done business with him in the past was his idea of a smart move. Hiya. But if you hadn't sold the vault to him... Evidence of which you can see in that it's still here, no? So what did Dad want from you then? We made a trade, although neither of us liked it if I'm being frank. Go on. I showed him the vault, and much like any reasonable person, scoffed at the idea that a machine like that could work. So he was programmed in as a user. Did he see something in it? He did. But you're not going to like it if I tell you what it was. I want to know anyway. He sighed out, shaking his head. While not in the same vein as what Orlando saw, it was much the same. He saw his precious son die and refused to believe it. He saw me die? How? What happened? Thanatos would have been the one to ask, but given you just end up asking him anyway now that you know, it was a shootout. At least that's what he surmised from what he saw. I was shot? Accidentally, I would hope, but who really knows? It was enough to spook your father and break his resolve in pursuing Memphis, at least at first. That sounds like Dad, or at least that I remember of him, not wanting to back down even if he has to take a break from something if it goes wrong. So on another visit he came back and asked me what we could do to change that from happening if he still wanted to bring Memphis in. Well, that didn't work. Dad's dead now, and as far as I know, Memphis wasn't caught. Orlando would have said something if his dad was behind bars, right? You think that he'd say his dad was in jail, when he was already not overly keen on sharing what his family's history was. No, I guess not. So, I guess what I'm scared to ask is, why your dad came here the night he died, no? I nodded slowly, bracing myself in the chair I'd found myself in. The unfortunate truth of it all was that he was certain he was going to die. He made the decision to go confront Memphis on his own, and, well, he never came home. And I'm sorry for that, Dave. I whined, running my hands through the fur on my face, trying to shake off the emotions starting to run rampant through my head. I had to focus, if only because I was half done. So then, after that, Mom came. That's right. A while after your mother, Carol Halloway, came to my door late one night. It was raining and she was a mess, bawling her eyes out even if the rain was making a good cover for it. Why'd she arrive? Had you met before? A couple of times, butted heads a few times over philosophical differences in our approach to medicine. Which meant you met Mom before you lost your license. And a couple of times after. Your mother is bright, if very abrasive. And even beyond what you'd expect from those working on the front lines of the ICU. And as for the why, she somehow found out that I had been talking with David, had heard about my work, and much like Memphis, assumed it was some sort of miracle time machine that could bring her husband back. I don't believe you. My mom didn't cry over Dad dying. She just didn't. I assure you that she did. Cried herself to sleep, begging for me to bring him back. Then the following morning thanked me for my time and left as stone-faced as I imagine you remembered her. That sounds like you didn't help her at all. Well, the vault isn't a time machine. All I could do was disclose what I knew and hoped that it would help put her mind at ease. After all, David's decision to do what he did was his own. I merely allowed him to have the options. I hung limp in my chair trying to process it all. Dad was here and died trying to take down a crime boss and stop me from dying. Mom came to try and get Dad back and instead found out he was dead because of me. No wonder Mom has been so distant. Your mother loves you still, boy. Don't be all doom and gloom just because of what the vault had to do with David's passing. But she never said anything. I just assumed... Yes, well, take it from someone who's been through something of the same. After the medical trial went south, Benson saw the whole process firsthand as to how I went from a sobbing mess to a jaded husk of a boar. Sorry, I don't know what to make of this. I kept these things from you for a few reasons. Primarily because if I'd said that I'd spoken to your parents before, what would you say? I'd have probably clung to you for information about Dad if it was before. Well, my friends cornered me and got me to explain what happened. Perhaps. Or you'd think worse of me for relaying these things through the radio in your room. Some mysterious figure saying they knew your parents. David's goal was to keep you out of danger, not thrust you into situations to be reckless in. Right. Are you satisfied? So my dad really just left the license behind? It seems strange that that's all he'd leave behind. My assumption is that Thanatos would have lifted it from his wallet at some point. Beyond that, I don't really know. I only discovered it after he'd left. Okay. Before I forget. He leaned back from his computer and looked me over. Did you get the vault to work before coming to see me? I nodded slowly, remembering that I still had that to deal with, too. Yeah. No different to the other times beyond the whole thing feeling stronger somehow. Beyond that, any lasting symptoms? Fatigue, headaches, nausea? Nothing beyond what's normal anyway, I think. Very well. What did you see? Tyson. It's going to be Tyson next during the full moon. So we have a couple of days breathing room before the event, it seems. Was he alive, or... Yeah, he was alive, but he was the one attacking Orlando, so... Alright, well, the full moon doesn't happen for a couple of nights, so rather than jumping to shooting him preemptively, we have options. You wouldn't really shoot him, would you? Boy, your insight can only go so far. He is responsible for multiple deaths, and we may just not know yet. Should it come to that, I won't hesitate to put him down to minimize the threat to have on those still standing. So what should we do before then? Depends on what the password was. Werewolf. Of course it was. Well, I don't exactly believe lycanthropy can be the actual cause, but imagine in the moment it might have seemed that way. I say we monitor for any strange behavior and deal with it if we notice anything persisting. Alright, got it. So should I talk to him about it now, or... Ultimately, that's your call. There is always a risk that whatever actions you take could lead to this event happening. The vault only shows you traumatic events so you're aware of them. It doesn't show you the actions to take to avoid them. Was there anything else? No, that's all. For now, I suppose. I sighed, pushing myself up from my chair and pocketing Dad's license, burying my hands into my pockets. It's probably close to dinner time, right? Are you hungry? Now with everything going on, I just need time to think, maybe. I don't know. Assuming the little bastard hasn't eaten it all, sometimes I find breakfast to be a good comfort. Even if it's just sugar and processed wheat. You're offering me cereal to make me feel better? Is it working? I'll think about it at least. Thanks for at least hearing me out again. It's helped, maybe? Oswin stood slowly, approaching carefully before wrapping his arms around me in a hug. Probably the most awkward of hugs I've ever had. You're welcome. Go get some rest, Dave. He broke soon after, almost as if this whole thing was a foreign concept and it was just making him uncomfortable. Still, the gesture helped and I felt a little less flat as I turned to leave from the lab. Through the dark, I stumbled looking for the exit. I assumed I was heading in the right direction, but sure enough, I ended up somewhere else. Huh? I stepped out into the hallway next to the kitchen and closed the section of wall behind me, confused. Apparently, there was a passage here, too. Probably one that Benson used to bring Oswin food. Opening the cupboard, I looked around for the cereal Oswin had mentioned, wondering if it was too close to dinner to take him up on his offer. Oh, hey. Hi, Dave. What are you doing in the cupboard this close to dinner? I missed lunch. Why? You didn't hear? You what? Did something happen? Kind of passed out and needed to sleep suddenly. I guess I was more tired than I thought. Normal people don't just pass out, Dave. You already read all that. Everything Oswin told me about Mom and Dad, as well as putting up with Thanatos the whole day, had me exhausted, if not worried. Drumming my fingers on my chest, I wondered if I should bring it up with Ty or not. I had to keep Orlando alive, but telling him that he was going to get mauled wasn't going to get anyone anywhere. Oh, shit. Go back a bit. Yep. And we're still on Path A. So, we're going to leave off here tonight. Yep. And I went to... Son of a bitch. We're just going to close off anyway, because there's an ad. Stay safe. Have a good night. And I will see you all tomorrow.